It's been an exhausting start to the Guild Wars campaign for many guilds. Today we'll take a look at some tips and tricks for getting the most out of your battles and explore a brand new Google Sheets Guild Wars tab while we do it. It's been a long wait for a new mode to join Tacticus, and it's easy to see that this is quite a divisive new mode. For newer guilds, they were surprised not to be able to even play it, leaving them disappointed and missing out on Guild Wars. Anyone who's under level 20 doesn't have enough characters available to participate. I know it's a controversial take from someone that can participate, but considering some of my guilds struggled at level 30 and above, I do believe that was a good decision, and it's then something for you to look forward to as you grow. However, I really do sympathize with anyone starting Tacticus recently. It's a long way to catch up, and there's very little catch-up mechanics currently. Those that did get to play, there were their casual guilds, and these are the ones who have got less than engaged players, or maybe those players that used to be your friends but have not logged on in a long time and your guild leader isn't cleaning up. They have had a frustrating time as they had players alongside them who didn't pull their weight and they know they've got some difficult decisions ahead of them. Do you abandon your current guild mates and find a group that's engaged? Or maybe you cut your week in true Warhammer fashion and merge with another guild? Or do you just sit and get more frustrated with your current guild until you burn out? I know what I would do, and it isn't to sit around not enjoying my experience. For the older, engaged guilds though, they seem to be thoroughly enjoying the new mode. The official Discord has been lit up all weekend, and I haven't seen this much engagement in quite some time from everyone. So many discussions, so much potential, and I think we're really living in interesting times in Tacticus. Let's talk a little bit more deeply about some of the things that you should note as you're setting up for your next guild war. Firstly, I will reiterate my advice again and again. Don't sit in a guild that isn't performing, where your leader's absent and not taking care of your troops. Find one that is and make sure you're enjoying this game to the fullest. I really think we'll see quite a big upheaval in guilds coming up. Now let's talk about the guild wars themselves. Quite a few of us got caught out with some bad UI right at the beginning of the battle, as you have to click on this button and select which battlefield you want to enter. But as this is just the first iteration of Guild Wars, we can definitely expect to see some improvements coming soon. The first tip of today is that you can move your war zones around. I saw quite a few people saying they were fighting the default setup, and so make sure that your guild leader takes the time to change your zones around, as there's definitely a lot better setups to go for than the basic one. And I think this is a great time for me to start introducing my new Guild Wars tab that you'll find live right now in version 5 of my planning sheets. This was an idea from regular viewer Johnny Doyle 4562, and I'll introduce each feature as we go throughout the video. We'll start with the battlefield part on the left. This allows you to play around with different setups and see what works best. At the top, you can change the battlefield level from 1 to 5. When you do, you'll see the difficulty of each zone changing appropriately. Then you can change the type. So if you want to swap the Vox station for the headquarters, then you just do this, and now they're swapped around. Next, you can see the difficulty of each station, and this is how they're called in game. It goes Trooper, which has 1 epic team, 1 rare team, and 3 uncommon teams per player. Veteran has 1 legendary team, 1 epic team, and 3 rare teams per player. Elite has 2 legendary teams and 3 epic teams per player. And Hero has 5 legendary teams per player, so you can see just how much more difficult the hero zones can be. Next, you can see the score in 1000 point segments, so 36 is 36k in game. Then you can pick which players you want to have in each slot. And all of this data can be set up over on the right hand side. So for example, if we don't want to have Beztur and we want to have Banana, we just change it, go back here, and it'll change. And so now we've got Banana defending the Medicae station. And while we're setting up and talking about Medicae stations, this is definitely the most important piece on your battlefield. This gives a global buff of 60% to health, and so should be protected as much as possible. The best way to do that is to have it hiding behind your tougher buildings. These are the headquarters and the fortified positions. In every battlefield level, except level 1, these are the toughest buildings to break down, because they allow you to place your best troops in there. And so you're ready to place your defensive lineups, and you have no idea which zone you should go into. Even worse for your guild leader, they would need to try and work out where 30 of you will fit into place. As a guild leader myself, I wanted to have an easy tool that was integrated into my Google Sheets, and so I spent a lot more time than I should have building a way to calculate the recommended zone for you. Right now, with this player, you can see that he's a trooper player. He has a bunch of iron and bronze characters, which means that he's going to have some uncommon characters. Rather than getting everyone to add even more detail into my sheets, I just use the current upgrade quality. So if you have a character that's bronze 2, you're guaranteed to be rare. Silver 2 takes you to epic, and gold 2 takes you to legendary. Of course, you can be a legendary character at gold 1, but honestly, I don't think you're getting the best out of your characters until gold 2, so I went with this. If you have less than 25 characters, it'll just tell you that you're missing characters instead of giving a recommended zone. Below this, we can see a score. It's quite simple. You get 1 point for each upgrade level. So Iron 1 is 1 point, Iron 2 is 2 points, and so on. This goes on until you hit Diamond, and I add a little bit more points on just because they feel like quite a jump in Guild Wars specifically. This easily allows you to compare your different teammates as you go. Then beneath this, we can see a little bit more detail in your rankings. We can see here that this player is a Trooper Plus in his Trooper ranking, and he doesn't have any rankings of Veteran, Elite, and Hero. This is because he doesn't have enough troops at a high enough level to get those rankings. There are 12 different ratings to achieve: Trooper, Trooper Plus, Trooper Plus Plus, Veteran, Veteran Plus, Veteran Plus Plus, Elite, Elite Plus, Elite Plus Plus, and Hero, Hero Plus, and Hero Plus Plus. So if we start with a basic version of each one, everyone starts as a Trooper. To become a Trooper Plus, you'll need to fill the minimum requirements for the Trooper Warzone. If you remember, that was 1 epic team, 1 rare team, and 3 uncommon teams. So that means that you need at least 5 epic characters, 5 rare characters, and 15 uncommon characters. And this is why this player's already a Trooper Plus. But to become Trooper Plus Plus, you'll need the perfect team. So that would be at least 5 Gold 1 characters or higher, another 5 Silver 1 characters or higher, and then another 15 Bronze 1 characters or higher. And we can see this working right here. If this player levels up his Bellator to Bronze 1 and his Certus to Bronze 1, then after a few seconds, it's now Trooper Plus Plus. And so this is lovely because it not only tells you what recommended zone you should be in, which massively helps your guild leader, but it also gives you a whole new set of goals to hit as you try to become Hero Plus Plus. Of course, to do that, you'll need 25 Diamond 3 characters, and so I'll see you in about 5 years for that one. On the last part of the sheet, you can tell your guild leader your score and ranking, and he can add you into his sheet in columns U and Y. That'll help him remember which zone to put you in, and maybe to give you homework to make sure you're leveling up to the next level. Everything in the guild setup and Warzone setups can be changed, so as Guild Wars evolve, then we'll be able to change this really quickly, and I do expect there to be changes coming. Right now, this is my guild. My guild is starting on Battlefield Level 3, and we're all working towards the basic requirements for Battlefield 4, and as you can see, there's no troopers here, and so all these players who are troopers have got some homework to do. So they're trying to level themselves up to make sure they at least hit veteran level, and then we can proceed up to level 4. Once you've assigned your zone, start picking some defensive lineups. It's really good to note that healers are definitely a pain in this mode, so make sure you level up your Isabellas, Rotbones, Actuses, Incisiuses, and of course the Necrons. The Necrons themselves are definitely a crazy team in defense, as the health bonus from the Medicae station, coupled with their self-healing and spawns, is just so damn powerful right now. I can only imagine that as we move forwards, we'll see some zones that cap healing massively so that tanks and damage prevail. On the other side, I'm not a big fan of characters that throw themselves in too deep. So for example, Angrax, Harkin, Aryak, Athana are all prone to diving deep into the battlefield, dying, and then wondering what was the point. This is something we see a lot in the automated deathmatch series that we make. The other characters I'm not a fan of in defense are most of the Psykers that don't spawn in more characters. So for example, Eldryon, Sybil, and Niall, these are just characters that I barely even put into my teams because they just die so easily and don't output enough DPS. What I like to do is build teams with good synergy that are backed up with a healer. So if we have a look at the setup that I've got running right now, along the top I've got my best troops. Then I've got some tanky beasts along with Isabella, who can use her ult to revive Bellator's belly babies when they die, and Toth's self-heals, which is super powerful. In the third row, it's a team of spawners backed up by Rotbone for heals and Onshi to repeat someone's active and spawn even more troops in. Then I've got some metal dudes with Actus, Gibba and Makutep healing. Finally, I've got an Overwatch team with Butchered as beef and Incisus for heals. And so you can see I've got a healer in every zone except the first one, and that's going to change now I understand what's needed as I push Isabella up to that top line. Moving into the attack phase, there are a few simple rules. Start by using your weaker guild members to go in first and clear out one frontline zone, then have a look to see what's behind it. Ideally, they'll begin by finding an anti-air battery or an artillery zone by looking for the adjacent buffs, and then they'll just continue to destroy as much of the trooper and veteran buildings as you can. At this point, you're really playing hunt the opponent's Medicae station as quickly as possible. This will be hiding somewhere in the back line, and so it's up to you to find out how to get it. Try not to attack the tier 3 buildings unless they're filled with really weak teams, at least until you've found the enemy Medicae station or have come up against a predictable wall of headquarters and fortified positions. Don't waste your time clearing up the other frontline war zones or supply depots unless you really need to get through them, because they'll become much easier once you've destroyed the Medicae station. Once you have found it, do everything you can to go and destroy it, then double back and finish as many of the other buildings as efficiently as you can. Again, having healers is godlike in this mode, so some examples could be Battle Ball with Isabella, a mixed Necron and Adepticus Mechanicus team, Toth with Tyrant Guard behind him and some snipers pew-pew-pewing away, Resilient team with Rotbone, and outside of this I've also had some success with a full spawning team and a sacrificial tank to absorb as much damage as you can until you get your spawns out. Of course, you only get 10 tokens, and you can only use your characters once, so really consider what you want to do here, and my last piece of advice is definitely don't forget that you'll need your characters a couple of levels above the opponents while the Medicae station's up. I think we all got a bit of a surprise the first time we went into what we thought would be an easy battle and got our Aquilas handed to us. And so what are your thoughts on Guild Wars? Have you found the perfect setup? Has it changed your leveling plans? It certainly has mine. Also, with the Guild Wars Google Planner Sheet tab just being released, there's likely going to be bugs, and so just let me know what you find, and also if you can think of any other improvements that you're going to find really worthwhile.